Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
I'm Mac.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're continuing on with our top 60 games of all time.
We're doing it.
Yes, we are on numbers 40 through 31. So the third leg of this whole thing. Going to get to halfway through by the end of it. Check out our previous two videos if you want to see how we've gotten here, what games we've already mentioned. And also check out our giveaway video that we're doing alongside this. We'll be giving away games like Wayfarers of the South Tigris.
It's no longer behind my head. I was
no
pointing
longer
it out
behind
the other
there.
2 times, but who knows where it is now.
Which we unlocked by hitting 400 subs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got a few more if we can get to different sub counts. So we can unlock King Domino if we hit 450, Azul at 500, Cascadia at 750, and Wingspan at 1,000, which a lot of those are pretty crazy. I think we're at 409 right now, so we might possibly hit King Domino. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to
It's free.
to help that. And then, comment in all the videos. Let us know which list of 10 here is your favorite, which one you agree with most, or which games we are snubbing, what your favorite 40 through 31 are.
Oh boy.
But this time, the last couple I've started, we're going to have Pepper start this time.
Oh, my
boy.
And we're going to go this way.
Switching it up.
Okay, my number...
Mac's always in the middle, though.
I gotta break up this bromance.
She wants to start sometime. Maybe she'll sit here next time. My number 40 was not on the year, or not on the list. Starting off great. Not on the list the first year, but it was on both of yours. And you
Oh.
said you thought I'd like it. And the next year, it was 35. So you were right. It's dropped a few spots. I don't know if I played it in this last year. Mystic Vale.
Ooh.
It's John DeClaire, one of my favorite designers, and it's just a card crafting system, so you have transparent cards that you put into a sleeve, and you're building them and upgrading them throughout the game, and it's pretty much a deck builder, even though your deck starts with like a set 10 or so cards, you're just building the cards within your deck. But I love deck builders, and this gives me that same feel, but with a unique twist on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very solid choice for a deck/card builder. It's cool that, I think it's 20 cards that you start with.
Yeah.
But
Like a 10 was quite a few.
But yeah, typically, I think that's what a lot of deck builders start with, 10. This one, brings a different approach to a deck building game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in this type of one, you get to see your same cards more often than not. And I just got distracted because we're in the basement and one of the gutter things, a squirrel just walked by. He climbed down into it and crawled up. So I lost my train of thought.
Mystic Vale is
But
a
it
great
is
game.
it is a good game.
Yeah.
It did not make my list, but it is really good.
All right. My number 40 is brand new to the list altogether, and that is Furnace, which somebody might have talked about in a previous video. But I totally agree. I'm not a big bidding game fan, but the bidding in this one is like so pure and good that it's just solid. I like it. It makes me happy to, either get the card that you wanted to, or if not, at least you can benefit from the resources or action, I think, that is on the top of the card as many times as the number of disc you place there. So that's the funnest part. I agree. The engine building is good, and I love that you aren't locked into, like, you bought this card first, so it has to be in the first spot. I like that you can change up how the engine looks. And then, optimize it after each round. I think that just makes this game, like, so pure for what it is. So, I like it a lot.
That is a great choice. And we haven't played with it, but there is the option where you have to keep them locked in place.
Let's not do that.
I think you can add to either side, but I think in the ones that you have already placed, I think have to stay.
That would make,
if I remember right.
That would make it much more challenging.
Yes, I prefer the way we play
get
it.
Cards, so.
But I think it has that in there if you're an expert at the game. So
far from that.
We are not quite that good at the game.
No.
But no, that is a great choice.
I agree.
And this next one, or this first one on my list, it's kind of what I'm thinking we're in now that I'm seeing squirrels walk by. it was 35 on my list 2 years ago, 25 last year. Now it's up to 40. I think that's just because we haven't played it as much. And this is The Fox in the Forest. We're in a forest of squirrels. Maybe the fox is chasing it. I'll watch and see if a fox goes by. But this is a 2-player trick-taking game, and it's another one of those that just feels kind of like you said about Furnace, just feels really pure and just works. You're trying to take either a very small amount of tricks or I think a very large
amount,
a large amount without
most.
going to a
Yeah.
certain amount to be greedy, because then you get 0 points. So there's kind of this fine balance of trying to get just the right amount of tricks, and then having half the cards have powers on them. I think those powers just work really, really well, and there's various ways to use them that can help you either maybe take extra tricks or stop yourself from taking extra tricks. So I do really like how that can change it throughout the game.
I agree.
And it's a short one, which it helps as well.
We always like those.
Yeah, that's The Fox in the Forest. So I think that made 2 of our lists now, but I don't know if it'll make the other list.
We will see.
Great pick, babe. Great pick.
Number 39 was 38 last year, and 22 the year before that.
Wow.
So it's steadied out a little bit. Probably even gained because there are new games being added every year, so that it's about the same. It's actually gaining a little bit, I would say. And this is Rajas of the Ganges. And this includes the Roll and Write Dice Charmers game as well, because I didn't think that would give me the same experience, but I think it brings a lot of that original game over to the Roll and Write, adds a few things, and still works. So I've only played that one once, but I could see that loving that one just as much as the original Rajas of the Ganges. So in time, I might settle on just one, but for right now, I love that both of these exist. They use dice in such unique ways, and it always seems like there's something good to do with them. And I assume it will be talked about later on by some others, possibly.
I didn't know you liked this one that much, so that's cool to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
I mean, I
It
probably
may
did
or may
know
not be
that
talked
we did
about
last
later.
year, but I forgot.
You forgot about it.
No, I forgot that he liked it that much.
Oh.
My number 39 is another new to me game. It replaced a game in our collection that we recently got rid of for me altogether. It's cute, it's woodland themed, and it is Meadow. Which is just a really, what is it? Like, the way you put in, like, the way you choose cards depends on what line or row you use, and then the little pick that you use to pick your line or row also has a number that tells you how far into the grid of cards you go. And I think that one's just really fun. You grab the card, you put it in your meadow tableau, and then you're trying to get cards based on animals that you already have in your meadow, or maybe landscape types that you have in your meadow, and just kind of building that up and trying to get the most points by the end. So I just think it's a really, really solid game. It replaced Quadropolis for me. Not that that was ever on my top 50, but using the same or similar mechanisms in Meadow just works much better, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I don't know what you'd call that.
I don't know how to describe
but
it.
yeah. It's kind of, I was going to say kind of a bidding sort of thing, but not really. But yeah.
It's a claim.
If you've played Quadropolis, it's very similar to that.
Yes.
And I just noticed on my list, I may or may not have forgotten Rajas of the Ganges. I don't see it on there. I'm like, I had to have been on there. So I don't know how that got missed, but that
You're going to
one
have to
should
pull a
been on my
pepper
list.
and make some room here.
I don't know if I can make room.
31.5.
But yeah, I don't know why. I must have. I don't know. Did not make it into Pub Maple or something.
Maple!
I have, unless I already said it. Did I already say it? I don't think we did.
No.
I don't think I did. So
Wow.
sorry, but Raja should have been on my list. But yeah, so I guess I'll go to for this part of my list. I have 3 brand new games to the list, and this is the first one of those. This is one that I played on Board Game Arena several times.
Ooh, I think I know.
It is a pretty popular. It's been pretty popular amongst the crowds, I would say, and it is Earth. So this is one I've really enjoyed, but I feel like having it on Board Game Arena makes me not want to get it in real life because there's a decent amount going on in the game. Maybe it would be fine on the real table, but there's just certain things that Board Game Arena helps you kind of do in certain orders and stuff because that's kind of important in this game. I think probably be able to do it. I know a lot of people really like it, even though they've probably only ever played the actual tabletop version. So I assume it still works. But yeah, this one's got hundreds of different cards and things that you're trying to go for, and yeah, just different goals that you're trying to do, and yeah, just a lot of tableau building that kind of matters the order because they'll trigger in certain orders from top to bottom, left to right. I find that really cool. It's just a lot of things mixed together, but I feel like, I don't know, after the first play I already felt pretty comfortable overall with it.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of got the Race for the Galaxy, Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition thing where one person picks an action each time and then everyone else at the table gets kind of a lesser version of that. So it just kind of brings all of these things together in a really nice way. And yeah, it's just got a lot of cool things.
Yeah.
I haven't played it, but I'll trust you on it.
Number 38 is also a new to the list game.
Oh boy.
I don't know if we might have just barely had this last year, but it did not get on the list. And that is Marvel United. We've been looking for a Marvel game for so long, and initially this one seemed like it might be too light to really be that for us. But once we got it for a great deal and played it, I've absolutely loved it. It is simple, but it's very approachable, and you can just really get into the theme. That's what I love about this. Some other games that are these fighting, not really dungeon crawler, this isn't, but some of them can be very hard to get into. Not this one at all. You just set up your locations, choose your hero, shuffle the deck, and go. I love this. I love all the characters. We've bought quite a few additional sets and have quite a few more coming. So we'll probably be doing some content on that in the future.
Is that big thing that? Cool.
Yes. At some point, when that comes out from SEMA.
Yes.
Love it.
You're going to love it, Mac. You're going to love it.
Cool.
Yes, that is a great choice, Pepper. I did not make my list, but it is a very solid cooperative experience, and I think should be pretty approachable for pretty much everyone, I would say.
Yeah.
Because it's got very easy to read symbols and stuff. Like, it all makes sense. It's not too complex.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a good game. All right, my 38, I believe, was 26 last year and 21 the year before it. So kind of fallen, but I think probably part of that is just Pub Meeple rankings. And then this is an older game, so probably let some others squeak through forward on it. But it is one of our giveaway games if we reach 450 followers, and that is King Domino, and I'll include King Domino Origins with this too, but just such a solid game. I love the domino placement. I love trying to get a perfect square. I love trying to get, a great score. There's just so much good about it. It plays well at 2 players, it plays well at 3 players, plays well at 4 players. Like, just so solid. And then Origins kind of adds another level to the game, because it also has, on top of just being a kind of a different game but the same, it also has multiple variants with it too. So like, you can really now make this as hard or as easy as you want to make it. You can keep it pure at the base level, or you can add in some things just to kind of spice it up a little bit. So it's a solid game, and I love her.
That's a 3-way crossover now.
It is a 3-way crossover.
So go check our other list to see where it fell on ours, but yeah, it's a game that we all love and have for such a long time. This has been one of the first games that we've had in our collection, and it's just
Shout out to our friends who introduced us to that game.
Exactly.
You know who you are.
But I'm going to keep, I think, anyway, I'm going to keep the 3-way crossovers going.
Oh.
Ooh.
With a deck building game. A very pure deck building game. I think everyone's got it.
Yeah.
Dominion. So yeah, this one was brought up on some previous lists as well. So back to back, the same number, three-way crossovers. Yeah, this one's just a really solid game. It's another very simple one where you just you get one action, and then depending on which kind of cards you're playing with, you can kind of use those to maybe get additional actions, and then you're buying cards. You can maybe sometimes get additional buys and kind of do all these cool things, and you're just trying to get as many points as possible. It's just a really solid game. If you want just pure deck building and you've never played it, or you've never played a deck building game before, this one will give you that just full experience of just deck building.
Yeah.
So if you are looking for something like that, I would highly recommend Dominion. It's very solid, and you can get pretty much unlimited expansions for it. So you have endless opportunities to continue growing it if you want. Almost. I think there's like 16, 17, 18 expansions or something.
Yeah.
So
And it's crazy because
not endless.
even some of the new ones I hear, and they're just like, oh, this is one of the best ones yet. I'm like, how are they still coming up with amazing new things?
Right. I wonder if they would ever do like a best of. Probably not, because then they can't sell the expansions. If they're like, oh, the best.
Oh, yeah.
The
They
thought
all-
of best card from this one, the best card from this
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Do they all work together? Like,
I
or
think-
is it like you have to
I'm
play
guessing there's some that
specific cards?
Might not. They might say, oh, if you're using this, you can't use this, maybe. But I'm guessing most of it probably does.
Nice.
I would think.
Yeah, I think so.
So
Cool.
yeah,
Love it.
because I think in our set it's like, oh, if you have these other sets, you can like combine these things
Yeah.
together. But we don't have like any of those sets, so
Yeah.
I think we have one. We have one expansion, but I know it has some suggestions.
Yeah.
So
I see.
On to my number 37, and I'm gonna mix this up a little bit.
mix it up a little
I'm
bit.
just switching the spots, the two of these.
Sure,
here.
you're making 5 games into one.
37 was 17 last year,
Ooh.
but it was new to the list that year, and that is Cuzco. And I think it's another reason, just it has not been played in a while, but it's an absolutely one of the most beautiful end-of-game board states that you can have. It just creates a wonderful landscape with hills and lakes and these temples, and it's not even forced to be that way. Just naturally, to score the best points, it makes this landscape. That is so awesome. And the game, I enjoy the game quite a bit. It's somewhat abstract and trying to kind of win over these cities and towns by having more influence and being at higher levels than your opponents, and you can even score at, like for the end game scoring, you score at a different time than your opponent. So you have your end game scoring where you could be first in all these ones, but then maybe on their last turn they can then take over control of those and score first for that as well in their end game scoring, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if I've seen that where it can be different and 2 people can win it at a different time. I haven't seen that in any other game. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, just again, the production is phenomenal and surprisingly relaxing game.
Yeah,
Being very
I like that
cutthroat.
one. It's a pretty solid game, but yeah, there is that abstract nature to it. But it is one of the best before and after type board states in any game. It definitely has a really nice presence to it.
No comment.
No nice comment.
Not a
Mama,
three.
Mama said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. I'm gonna take that advice. All right, my 37 is where we're at, and it was 28 last year, and it was 14 the year before. Probably just because we haven't played it much, and it's another one of those older games in our collection that it is so solid, and I love it when we play it. It almost seems too simple now, considering some of the other games that we play that are probably under the same category label here, and that is Alhambra, which is just a solid, like, it's not betting, but it's like you buy a tile and you place the tile situation. So it's just so good, and I love being able to like pay exact change and then getting another move or another turn.
It
with
needs to
that.
be in more games.
I know, it's
Jeez.
so good, and then the wall building and everything, like, so good. Every time we play it, I love it. It's just so solid. I think, like I said, I think it's just other games have come up. It's an older one, but it's just love it.
It is a very solid game because that was one that at the World Series of board game we went to this last year, I hopped onto an Outer Ring event or whatever, and I don't know if I had played it probably like in the last year or so before that, and I was able to just easily hop right back in it. So it's another one of those that's very simple. Once you kind of know what the actions you can do are, it's a simple thing, but it does give you some very thinky decisions of, should I wait to try to get exact change to kind of get a double move? Or
How desperate am I?
Right. Do I want to risk, someone else possibly buying that tile because maybe it fits perfectly? So there's a lot of things to think about. It is a very solid choice.
I think so.
And I don't think I mentioned this, but Dominion was not on my list 2 years ago, and it was on my list at 42 last year. So it's come down even a little bit. But this one was actually on my list at 26 2 years ago, and was not on my list last year.
Oh, wow.
And now is on my list again at 37.
Whiplash.
And we are...
You don't know what you got till it's gone.
We are sticking with the deck building game. And this one came back because I think it was originally on my list because of something we played originally.
So it's not really the same game.
It's not exactly the same.
Yeah.
But it's the series of these games combined.
You're making too much noise. You're going to make...
Some clank. We're going to make some clank, all right. So, I think originally when it was on there, it was because we were playing Acquisitions Incorporated, so it's not really the same, but it's the same family. I did want to put that on there, but I would say that original experience to after is just not quite the same. But now we've had Clink Catacombs, and that I really, really liked how that worked and kind of changed up game to game. I like that feeling versus... It's not necessarily the same game if you kind of play with a normal Clank or your board after you've played through the campaign for Clank Legacy. But this one just really kind of mixes it up a bit. So I was able to put it back on the list because I do really like the game. But I think that was one thing that it was hard after having such a great story in the initial Legacy campaign to going back to just that. But now this kind of freshens it up again for me. So... Had to get that back on the list as the family of Clank.
I'm surprised that I forgot that completely fell off your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking for it last year, but I was like, it must have just not made my list.
It's so hard to separate Clank from Clink Legacy, because it was so solid, and I always struggle with that because I'm like, Clank Legacy would probably be my favorite game of all time, but you can only do it once, and so it's kind of
You heard it there.
It's kind of like... I don't know
I'm going to hold you to that.
I don't know how to use that. I don't know how to... I don't know how to...
Just like the exit games.
Yeah.
It's like, I love escape rooms. I love those games. The puzzle. I didn't include those this year because I had so many games I wanted to fit in here. I'm like, okay, I can exclude that one, I think. But it is just a whole different thing with Legacy.
I'd agree. Those are tough to... But now I can feel safe putting it in here. Kind of like the same with... Although it's kind of the opposite for Pandemic, because I don't know if I could get the base Pandemic game in there, but then adding Legacy games with the base
that's the opposite.
is the opposite for me.
But you have more Legacy to play of that. So.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. My 36.
Well, we're going to have more Legacy to play of Clank.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We got so many Legacy games.
It's so bad.
That's the whole next year.
That's why I told them, make this a Kickstarter campaign so that I've got a year to catch up on my other Legacy games. So it's all me. Sorry, guys. That's why they didn't release it immediately.
Yeah. So much influence.
My 36 is kind of a crossover, and I'm glad that you had this game on your list so I can just talk about the other one. Because I added a game last section that I had forgotten about. So I had to combine some games here, and that was... They were right next to each other, so it's fine. So that was Earth and Terraforming Mars. I have loved... They're very similar.
There's some similarities.
Okay.
They're both Tableau games with all different cards.
They might be closer.
Except one's Earth and one's Mars, but,
Fair.
That's
Go ahead. Talk about your game.
But yeah, I agree with everything you said about Earth. I've loved our plays. on that one. I think we even have a video talking about it, a try before you buy video for Board Game Arena version of that. So check that out for my full thoughts. But Terraforming Mars has been bumped up. It has never been on the list. And that was probably because you had entered into the tournament for the World Series of Board Gaming and you needed to practice.
Against the best of the best.
Yes, so you asked me. And we played it quite a bit, and I just grew to become so much more comfortable with it and really appreciate what it has to offer. And then to top it all off, at the World Series of Board Gaming, I won a raffle to play with the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore, and I even ended up beating him. I didn't win, but I placed better than him, and that was
That's all that mattered.
a fantastic experience. So I knew immediately that this game was going to be in my
It's gonna
top
hop up
games
there.
next
Hop
year.
up there, huh?
Yep.
Nice.
All
Good
right.
pick. A little low, but good pick.
My 36 has never been on my list before. I was terrified of this game when we first started playing board games more seriously. It's like, I don't know, it just looked like a lot.
I see.
And my brother had gotten it, and it's like he wanted to play it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, this looks like next level. And it might be a crossover on the
Wow.
exact same
On the number.
as Jesse, and that is Terraforming Mars.
Wow.
So considering this hasn't been on my list at all, it's kind of like weird for it to make its debut, even though it's been around for me anyway for a while, at 36. But really, I've just really started to understand and enjoy it. I think the first few times I played it was just like chaos in my brain, but ever since we started playing more and more and more and more games and stuff, like, you start to understand like how these things work better, and I feel like I'm starting to get that understanding for a lot of these games, and Terraforming Mars is one I can confidently say now that I think I could understand. I don't know if I could teach it yet because it is just so much sometimes for me, but I do really enjoy when we play it out. And I'll say with an asterisk, because you have to have the Prelude expansion. You have to have it, and I think that's maybe why it suffered on like early plays, and then post like Prelude, it's like solid. Love it so much. So
I totally agree.
Wow.
3-way crossover.
Nope, I'm not going to
okay.
have that yet. Not nearly yet. You got to wait. You got to wait for that. You got to keep with us for a few more numbers. But, okay. So then I will deviate from what you two have picked.
Oh boy.
This will be, although it will also be a new game to me. It's never been on the list before. It is actually a brand new game since we've last done a list. And this is one that I also played on Board Game Arena. But then, more recently, I have had the chance to play it on the actual tabletop. We also have a Try Before You Buy. I don't know if it's out yet, but we have one for this game as well, I think, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we will. We will
we
put
will.
one
We
together.
will get it.
Because it is a great game, and it is Acropolis. This is one that just kind of gives me feels of other games like, I don't know, every time I think of it, I think of King Domino, even though it's not quite the same as King Domino, but it just makes me think of that. I don't know why. But you're also
Totally
doing the Cuzco of
It's almost
doing
Nidavellir with
multiple-
all the scoring.
It's got
What do you think of
Nidavellir
that?
vibes too. But I think
Just
of
insulting these other games.
King
Wow.
Domino because of like you need the crowns to actually
Oh,
score things.
yeah.
Otherwise, having as much of these tiles as you possibly want doesn't matter if you don't have any multipliers. Trying to manage multipliers while also getting the different types in positions to actually make them score is just awesome, amazing. And if I would have known, because I would have originally said if we had done the Try Before You Buy, that I don't think this would be as good on the tabletop or as easy to score. That you can keep track of points like immediately, whereas this it's a little difficult. You kind of have maybe a feel if you're doing well or not, but it's a little more difficult on the actual tabletop. But if I'd have known how well it could still feel like it played, I think I probably would have gotten a copy of this myself. So we might see this one coming into the collection at some point. We'll see, especially if I think you could add maybe an expansion of tiles that do kind of different things.
It's
Maybe.
literally 10 minutes up the road. We need to have it on the
Super
shelf.
deluxe wooden tile.
That's true.
version.
I'm hoping for the wooden deluxe-ified version of this.
So you can play it with who?
You.
Oh.
No, I really love this game, and it's solid. It's a great game, even though some people don't like it quite as much as me, I think. But a
lot of people do. It won the Dice Tower Award for Best Game from a New Designer.
It did.
The
And
new-
I called him the new Bruno Catala.
You heard
Look
it
out.
here first, folks.
And we found out at the Dice Tower Awards that he was an architect, so
Ooh.
I don't doubt that that's what Bruno's former profession was.
The architect of games.
35?
Yeah.
Correct.
Mhm.
My 35 is also a new game to the list. And another one that was probably right on the edge of playing last year. I don't think we quite had it. And another one that I think won some awards. And another tile placement game that we compare to King Domino, and that is Cascadia. Just a wonderful, beautiful game, beautiful art, and just such an interesting kind of dual layered tile placement. You're placing out the base tiles to connect same land types and mountains and rivers and things like that to get majorities and score points. But then on top of them, printed on those tiles, are the types of animals that can go on them. And I think there's like 6 types of animals, and each type, depending on which card you use for them, will score in such a unique way, different way, but still slightly similar, so it's not too intimidating to get into, but a different way each game. I don't even know the amount of combinations, but it's just one that I'm always excited to see what I'm playing with that game. And there's an expansion coming out, so I'm excited for that. More options and more awesome wooden bits.
Nice. Good pick, Jesse.
It's a really good pick. And you can potentially win this game if we somehow get to 750 subscribers. And I might even, if we even got to 700, I'd consider it,
Yeah.
I think. So
Yeah, good
I think
pick.
that's already pretty crazy. But
That's
yes,
on your
that is a good
list,
pick.
right?
Yeah, it was 47 for me. So,
Oh, boy.
good job, Pep. That was bad.
Half
Okay.
missed.
All right. My
That was
35 was 44 last year, and it was 25 the year before. So it was so it's going all over the place. I think I just am figuring this out one better. I don't know. It goes up and down and fluctuates so much because I just constantly lose at it. Like, I just know that I'm gonna go into the game and lose. So it's like, what can I do to like get a better score? Like, how can I get more proficient at this? And the last time we played it, it was probably pure luck, and I think the new Asian expansion, where you get the 2-player variant thing, where you get to claim extra pieces, which is very helpful as it turns out, and I need it. But I actually got a pretty good score that would have stood up pretty well at the first round of the board game
World
thing
Series
last
of
year.
Board
That's
Game?
the one from Vegas last year, and that is Wingspan. So we have all of the Wingspansions and everything else, and so it's just so much content in a box. It's so many different birds you can play, so many different things you can do, while also being like pure engine building. So it's a really solid game. I like it. I think you'll probably hear about it more from others or other, but I don't know. I like it.
That is a good pick. Okay. That is a pretty good pick.
I thought so.
I'm shocked it made your list.
I know 44 last year. You probably thought that thing's going off, but nope.
Right.
She's
We
back.
do have some content on Wingspan, so you can check
Just
out
a
those
little
videos.
bit.
And then I'm trying to remember if we have content on this one. It was my number 48 2 years ago,
Well, you can just promise more content like you
And-
did with.
and 34 this last year. So now it's 35, so it stayed about the same. I think this one, I thought we had content on it, but maybe not. It was a game that we championed, possibly.
Oh,
Pepper might remember. It has an elevator going up and down.
Oh, yeah, I think you did.
I think we do have that, so you can. If we do, you check that out. Otherwise, we're going to film one because it deserves it. Because I don't think it's in the Board Game Geek Top 500. And that is Coal Baron. It is a really solid game, and they actually came out recently with a Kickstarter new version of it, which can't say that the biggest fan of, but it does, I think, hopefully give people the opportunity to buy it, so that'll be a good thing, because it's just a really solid game, and I don't hear enough people talk about. It's a worker placement game where you can't really necessarily block people from taking a similar action, but it will cost them more workers. It's kind of a cool one, similar to Architects of the West Kingdom, where you start with a lot of workers, and then you're using all of those throughout the round, and just taking as many actions. It's kind of like having action points almost instead of workers, and then you just use all those throughout the round. But
isn't it always?
It kind of always is. That's a debate for another day.
Everything is an action point.
But it's got contract fulfillment. The little elevator pick up and deliver aspect to it is fun. Everything about this one just flows together so well, and it makes thematic sense for most of the things. So I like that as well. But it's one of those games I don't hear talked about that much, and I think it deserves a little bit more attention.
Yeah, I agree. I should have put this in my top 60. I just never know what to do with this game. It's not, but like it should be, and I don't know if it's like Pub Meeple or if I didn't have it in BGG or what, but it definitely should be. It's so solid.
I say the same as Mac. It did not make mine, but it's just with like 30 or 40 games that are just outside of there.
Can I group it with Furnace because they're both dealing with like coal and stuff?
I'll allow
Industry.
it.
I was going to.
Because I think that's where I would.
Well, my next one, I was going to put two combined for industrial type games so that I could fit Rajas in here instead. So this is maybe where I think Rajas of the Ganges should have fallen, possibly.
Yeah.
So it looks like I don't know. I just missed that one.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at what that was in the prior years.
I'm just a dummy who missed
Maybe I
that one.
never had it on my list. It should have been on my list.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed of you.
I'm ashamed of myself.
Number 20. No, not 20. My number 20. Number
Skipping ahead.
Jumping.
34 is a solo-only game, and one of the few that I've gotten Zach to come around on and enjoy quite a bit as well, and that is Coffee Roaster. This is new to the list last year at 25, now 34, so dropped a little bit, but I mean, I haven't played it as much this year with so many new games, but I still love bag building, deck building, anything that you build and manipulate a pool of anything and then pull from that. I love, and this gives me that. Your bag cooking the beans in here to a certain value and filling it with other flavor tokens and special abilities to just hopefully one shot at the end of the game whenever you want it. When you think you're ready, you pull from the bag and hope you make that perfect cup. And sometimes you do, and it's so satisfying, and sometimes you just go way over, burn it, or else it's a weak sauce. It's fun. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
For just being an all or nothing at the end of the game, which I feel it doesn't feel like that should work. And it could just be like, oh, and I failed completely after the whole game. But it works. I love it.
Uh-huh.
Has it inspired you to start drinking coffee?
Not at all.
I think it's just the right amount of chips that you're pulling out that
Yeah.
keep it interesting.
Yeah.
Because, I think if you were having to, at the end, pull out double what you're pulling out, then it would maybe lose some of that end game feel.
Yeah.
So I think that's what keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh brew.
Fresh brewed.
The expansion.
Love.
The 2-player expansion.
Nice. My 34 was 20 last year, and it was 3 the year before that. So this game had some hotness, and it maybe didn't hold up after a while to that level of love for me. The thing with this game is that it's so fun and rewarding, and like it's just great. But there are cards in this game that I just don't even want to touch or play with because it's like, it's just too complicated for what this is. And maybe some people need that, and they are good cards once you figure it out, but I wouldn't say that it's my favorite thing ever. But nonetheless, this game...
I have no clue what this is.
Seriously?
No. You?
Boss.
This was 3?
2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I would have never guessed that in a million years.
Really?
No.
No, I love Space. I loved it. I loved it more 2 years ago, but I think there are just other games. It's so rewarding. The dice roll is really fun. There just are some cards that I just refuse to learn and play with.
That part makes sense now.
Yeah. So it's so good though. Like it's so nice to be able to simultaneously get, if you can anyway. When someone's rolling, I always love the engaged turns where it's it's not just their turn. Like they do something, but it also impacts you, and you get some type of benefit potentially from it. So those are always just really solid simultaneous actions. So
yeah.
It is a fun game. It's if you played Catan a bunch and you want to look for something a little bit different, I think it still has kind of a feel of that where everyone's getting benefits when you roll the 2 dice. So
come on,
if you want that next
sit
step,
back with us. I just noticed we're both sitting back. There we go.
I'm not a part of this space-based clan though. That game's no good.
Whoa.
Even though I just suggested
Wow.
Shots fired.
it. No, it's good.
It's
good. It's good.
going
It's
to.
not great.
But
No.
someone found it. Don't get mad.
Wow.
Hit
Okay.
us with your 35.
My 34.
Yep, that's the one.
So mine did very similar to yours. It was 9 2 years ago, 18 last year, and now has dropped all the way to 34. And this is mainly due to no plays.
Oh.
Or
Very few plays. And an incorrect plays. Yep. This is another industrial type game. Very deluxeified components. Brass Birmingham. This one is a route building game that feels very tight, where you're using coal and copper to build your different things, and then trying to score them, upgrade tiles. It's just a lot of interesting things, and there is I feel like once you know how to play the game, there is a simplicity to it. It's not like it's extremely complicated, but there are a few rules, like when you haven't played it in a while, that are very easy to forget or overlook. But I really loved all my plays of this one. It's just a matter of doesn't get to the table that often, and otherwise I think it could probably be in the top 20, maybe even top 10. But we will see. It's a really solid game. It's a little bit heavier though, so I would say. Unlike a good number of the ones I think we've mentioned, this one's probably the heaviest.
Yeah. But I think, as someone who's a little scared of those games, I have enjoyed my plays of that. I think the route building is satisfying enough to entertain me, who doesn't get as into the crunch of it.
Mm-hmm. But there is a debt aspect to it, so if you're very much against taking out debt in games and having to pay, then this is not the game for you, I would say as well.
It's a good game.
It's a good game.
It's so crunchy.
Number 1 on.
It's so crunchy. Gil not agreeing at all. It is so crunchy.
It might
Still
be good,
comforting
but
you.
I've played it 3 times, one time each year, and every time I sit down to it, I don't understand it any more than I did the last time I played it, which is probably my fault. But it's like the first plays of Terraforming Mars for me, where I was like, nuh-uh. So maybe this one will prove.
So maybe in a few years it'll make her list.
Yeah, we'll see.
I doubt
If we
it.
didn't have so many games, we'd be able to play
Sure.
more.
If I got rid of all the games and we only had Brass Birmingham left, we would never play any games.
Well, I'd probably get pretty good at it.
My 33 is a new game. I have 2 more new games to the list in this section. This one is a cooperative game that neither of you have played, and it's based on one of my favorite TV series of all
Oh
time.
boy. I'm not playing that game.
A Command game. A Rob Daviau game. Stranger Things Upside Down.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was.
I don't know what you thought that was.
I thought it was some Walking Dead game that I'd never heard of.
Nope, not quite.
Not
Stranger
quite.
Things.
Stranger Things. When this was initially announced, designer, publisher of Cthulhu Death May Die, I'm like, oh, Cthulhu Death May Die with Stranger Things? Yes! Then when they released how it was played a little more, the board, I'm like, oh, this looks very tame compared to Cthulhu Death May Die. And I was like, not as excited. But once I played it, it gave me all the thrills that I could have ever wanted from this game. You're battling these stacks of number tokens, which seems pretty abstract and that it will not work, but I think it actually represents the mystery and unknown of what's out there pretty well, and I found a lot of excitement and stand-up moments in that. And I don't know, I love the theme, and I think the special abilities of some of the characters, especially the side characters, especially the Barb, who you can just discard to heal yourself a little bit.
Wow.
I find that pretty thematic. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and a great production as well.
Nice.
All right,
I'm excited to play that one. Probably more than Michaela is.
Yeah, I only made it through like season 1 of that show before I lost
Each
interest.
season gets better.
I don't know. We'll see. My 33 was 16 last year, and it was 19 the year before. So this one dropped a little bit, and I think that's just because I realized that it plays better at higher player counts, which means we don't play it as much, but it does come out because it is a favorite in our gaming group, I think.
Stonemeyer game?
Nope. It is Port Royal. So this is it's so different. I love it so much. There's one deck of cards. On the back are coins. On the other side could be any one of the, 15 or 20 types of cards that are out there. And it's a push your luck game where you're flipping them over, and depending on what color ships or how many colored ships you get, can affect what you're able to take or buy on your turn. And then it goes around, and people can also buy, but they have to pay you, which I love. And so you're trying to do all of this to get points, and then be the first one to, I think, 12 points, and win the end of the game, or at the end of the game if nobody else scores higher or whatever. So I don't know, it's just really fun. I enjoy the different cards and the push your luck aspect. It's not always so good because of that, but I feel like it's one that's decent enough to come back to the table. And with a big group of people, I get tired of playing like just one or Camel Up or whatever, and so I feel like this is a good filler game for like your actual board game nights. So probably no one else loves it as much as I do, but come on, it's so fun.
It's a good choice. It's Alexander Pfister. Can't go wrong.
Yeah. My second one, I think. Pulsar? No, that's Vladimir. Never mind.
Sushi. But
Never
you will
mind.
have it. I think you'll have a second one of Alexander's.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
I
now I
think.
know. Now I know who he is. I
I
crossed
assume,
wires.
but we'll see. Maybe not on this list, but I don't know.
One game left.
But yeah,
Oh, there's
so,
two.
two.
It's like, Jesse, come on, I got two more.
Jesse. This is my last one that's just completely brand new to the list. Never been on here before, but I think it had threatened to be on before because I had played it one time, but it has been a long time ago. And then recently, I played this one again on Board Game Arena with you. It was the first time you played it. We took it out of the box that we now have.
Did we
And
have
it's
we
sort of
played
similar.
with it? We haven't actually played with the...
We haven't played with the tabletop one yet.
Yeah.
But this is Russian Railroads. So this is a pretty... this is another one that has very heavy thinking to it, but I had totally forgotten because it had been a long time since we played it. And I was like, this one might be too complex. I didn't know how much you would like it. But then as we were playing it, I'm like, wow, I don't remember it like being pretty simple overall to kind of play the game. And it was actually really quick at 2 players.
Yeah. To be
Yeah,
fair,
'cause the worker
BGA did
placement-
a lot of things for us.
That's true. It did keep track of some of the things that you'd otherwise have to do. But yeah, a lot of the worker placement stuff was really simple. I think there's maybe a few things that, yeah, if we played it on the tabletop, we'd maybe have to read through the rules a little bit more. But yeah, there's different tracks that you're going along, and you have to be able to unlock them to certain spots to continue kind of building on those. And you get various amounts of points depending on how much rail you put on each one. It's just a lot of fun, and we have the ultimate version now, so we'll have to see how all of those expansions or extra ones work. I've only ever played the Russian Railroad one, so without any of the expansion content. So let me know in the comments below what you think is maybe the easiest expansion to add in, or how those work, because it looked like some of them had their own boards, so I'm not sure if that just completely replaces that. It's kind of standalone-ish. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but yeah, let me know below because I look forward to playing this one some more. especially if it does stay pretty relatively quick.
Yeah.
'Cause I think we finished our game in like an hour or less, which is pretty crazy.
Nice.
Yeah. It's pretty simple. And I was concerned when you got this because I was like, I'm thinking it's Brass Birmingham 2.0, and actually playing it, not bad. So
I'm happy to hear that because my first play of it, I didn't really know the rules that much. Probably got into it too quickly, so I was just kind of clicking buttons until something happened on the website, and then I ended my turn, and that's how I played and got beat pretty badly. So I've been scared of this one, but now I'm a little excited.
oh boy.
Also excited to tell you about my 32.
Ooh.
A game that was 23 the first year, and then nowhere to be seen the next year. But it's back at 32,
It's back.
and I don't even know how much I played it since last year.
Oh boy.
Maybe a couple times. I might have finally won, and that's Ethnos.
Oh.
Maybe the new release
Chaos Society.
has just made me love this old version even more, which pushed it back up on this list. But yeah, it's area control, something I'm not really a big fan of, but I think it just handled it so satisfyingly. Just how you play your cards, you can play a set of the same type or a set of the same color. You can choose whichever you want to be as the leader of that, and they all have unique abilities. You can switch them in, switch them out.
Mm-hmm.
Always got to play with the merfolk. It's the best one in the game. Maybe. I don't know. I love them. I love them. The tokens may not match the artwork, whatever, but they're amazing tokens. They stack so well. It's so easy to see what you have out there and what you have to beat and how big of a card band you have to do. And if you can't take a certain spot, you can just try to get points from the sets of cards themselves, which I think is a viable strategy as well. I love this one, and I love the end game trigger as well, where there's like 3 dragon cards shuffled into the bottom of the half of the deck. So you know kind of that it's coming up, but not exactly when. So it adds a little push your luck as well.
It does. It's a great explanation and a great game. Good one.
That is a solid choice, Pepper.
He's like, not high enough again.
No, you already named it, didn't you? Yeah,
Well, someone named it.
Zach named it at 48.
Oh.
Spoiler,
That's
if
nice.
you haven't watched the other videos.
Oh, I did. Yes, I named it then. I thought that was still coming for me as well. I apparently know nothing about what's on my list where. I knew it was on my list.
Wow.
Yes, that is a great pick, Pepper, but a little too high now.
Brava. My 32 is brand new on this list, and we're sticking with the pirate theme from my 33.
Yeah.
Yarg. I just really love this game. It's so solid. I can't believe it doesn't have more hype about it, and that is Libertalia, Winds of Gale Crest. So the reprint, or whatever, of Libertalia. And it's really fun. Like, the way you have the cards, like, and everyone's working with the same cards, but then after the next round, it could split up and people aren't using the same, so the same cards, and it adds more variability into what you're going to see out in I don't even know what it's called, the tableau of the morning, whatever, sunrise tableau or whatever it is. And then those tokens are solid, like the production on it is just great. I just really like this game. It's so solid. I love it.
So where was this one on your list before your most recent play of it?
No,
Like top 10?
I did atrociously lose this game recently,
Yeah,
but that was just due to my own complete.
I know what happened.
Just my own complete being dumb. I don't know.
I think it feels like sometimes you kind of know what the group is going to do, and you could tell right away after that first card that you were not going with the group. And then it just did not play out for you.
No, it did not. And I feel like maybe when we were playing it a lot more last year, I did so well because I had a sense, or a better sense of the group and the card and how best to use it. And going into it after not playing it for a year was probably where I struggled with, because I took a way different approach than I probably should have. And maybe it's just trying to spice it up. Who knows?
I think you still beat me, so hey, there's that.
That's always a W for me.
And half my points I got from this card I was able to keep every round. So that's pretty bad on me. Yeah, that's a good choice. I like that one quite a bit as well. There's definitely that thinkiness of what are other people going to do? Where am I on the reputation track? How's that going to influence it? There's a lot of interesting choices going on there. My number 32, I'll stick with the worker placement games. This one's got some pretty unique worker placement, I would say. It was on my list at 19 2 years ago and did not make my list last year. I think that's because I hadn't played it, and that when it got to 19 was probably after my only one play, I would think. But then we got back to playing this one. So I think I've only played it like 2 or 3 times, but it is a lot of fun. And it's another one that I want to play more and more, but I don't know that Michaela really likes it that much. I don't know. She might have only played it once, though.
Yep.
But it is Whistle Mountain, which has got some airships. So when I said it's like a unique worker placement, they kind of got some normal worker placement spots around the board. Kind of typical, you put something there and then you get the benefit. But then you can also go out onto the board that's kind of being built throughout the game, polyomino shape style, which is already pretty cool. And then the water level is rising to kind of cover up spots as the game progresses. But you can fly your ships out onto certain spaces, and then you get all the benefits touching your ship. So you've got like a larger, I think like a 3-spot-by-1 ship, a 1-by-1, and a 2-by-1, I think, are what the sizes are. So you got to decide when you want to use, the certain ships to kind of activate as many of the things as you can to get a lot of resources, or else you can kind of sometimes turn things into points or do other actions as well. Just a lot of fun, and yeah, this is one that I wish we played a little bit more. I don't know why I think what has hurt this game, this is actually a Luke Laurie game, right?
Yeah.
Who did Dwellings of Eldervale. I think what's hurt this one is that there's a whistle stop game, which I think I don't think it's hated, but I don't think it's as well loved. Yeah. And they called it Whistle Mountain, even though I don't think there's any similarities at all. And they used the whistle, which I would say also wasn't really necessarily needed in this game. They could have called it something else completely. But now, and I think there's actually an expansion to Whistle Stop called like Mountains or something. So they've just made it very confusing, and I think that probably immediately hurt this game. Because probably I would assume people would think they were similar, but it is not at all. I would highly recommend going out and looking for it. I feel like I've seen it on Miniature Market for sale before, so if you can go get it, especially on sale, it's a really amazing game. If you like worker placement.
Also a very high scoring game.
It is a very high scoring game. So if you don't like that either, you don't like oodles of points coming in, who doesn't like that? But if if you're someone like that, not going to call you weird, but if you don't like it, then this isn't the game for you either.
Wow. I feel attacked.
Back. You don't like high scoring games?
No, I do. I don't.
I don't want to be the weird person.
Don't particularly like Whistle Mountain.
Oh,
but
come on. It's because you score 200-300 points.
I assure you that.
To be fair, my last 2 games you can score, I think in Russian Railroads, once you know what you're doing, I think that's also a very high scoring game, potentially.
Yeah.
Even more excited now. Final one
Not weird.
on my list for today is another new to the list game, new this year game. So look forward to it at the end of the year. Top 10 games of the year.
That's true.
This is one that I've played solo, plays more. It's a roll and write game, and possibly and erase as well, and then write again and erase as well, and write again, and keep going and surviving as long as you can, playing pinball.
Oh,
Super skill pinball 4K.
Okay.
I don't play pinball, but this is what I imagine it to be.
I'm not one of those guys.
One of those nerds. We're just offending everyone now.
Yes, as we sit here with Pokemon t-shirts on.
Plain shirt for me. But you're just hitting the ball around the board, bouncing off of things, gaining points. Another high-scoring game. You have just a grid for your score track up to 100, and they have like 100 star you can fill in, a 200, 300, 400, and plus I'm like, oh my gosh. So you can get massive scores in this. And I've gotten a couple hundred. I haven't quite gotten to like 300 yet, but every game is just something unique. I played 2 of the maps, there are 4 of them in there, and those felt unique. The one added another little mini game that was really cool, but I don't know. If you like pinball, I feel like this would give you that similar experience. Like I said, I haven't played it, but the feeling is what I think of when I think of pinball, and I love to have that in a board game.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this one out. I guess does it give similar feels to like a Hadrian's Wall or a Gone Shown, like that type of thing, or not really? Chaining?
No, there's not really any chaining. There's a couple bonuses you can unlock that can multiply your points, but not really any chaining effects.
Which is interesting because with pinball, if
I would think there'd be.
Yeah, if you hit certain ones or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think
I'm excited.
in some way I might just view them differently
Right.
in that game. So in a way there probably is some mechanical chaining.
I'm excited for that one.
All right, my last one is absolutely brand new to the list.
Whoa.
I learned it last year, and it just
I was
blew.
gonna say last night.
No, yeah, last night. It just blew my socks off when it came through, and every time I play it, I just love it more. It's not a game that I would have thought I would have liked, because traditionally you put combat in a game, and I'm like, nah. I'm good. And this game is pure combat. Like, that's all it is. And that is unmatched system of games, I guess. I don't have a specific box. But, hey, you throw some literary characters in, like, a 1v1 matchup, I'm down, baby. I love myself a good Sherlock Holmes novel. And so to have him match up against Drac, or
Dracky boy.
Dracky boy, or
Crazy in my head when you said literary characters, that was the matchup I thought.
oh,
That specific matchup, Sherlock versus Dracula. I don't know why.
because they probably are the best ones. I don't really care about Invisible Man or Jekyll and Hyde. So, but it's so cool, and like they did such a good job of like doing legends. So like you have King Arthur, and there's Robin Hood, and lots of other people that I'd never even heard of, but like they bring into like the forefront, you know, when you're getting these boxes and stuff. They have gone really Marvel heavy as of late, and I understand that's
Pumping them up.
probably because of whatever, but I'm really excited to see what they do after the fact. I like Marvel in and of itself anyway. We're Marvel fans, but it's a lot of Marvel right now, and it's kind of getting to
We
be
need more.
too much. And so I'm interested to see if they can go out and do something different after
DC.
Marvel.
DC.
That will be what it is. But I'd love to play. But I love the obscurity of some of these, like Achilles and like Sinbad and stuff. Those to me are like the like best options that you can take because they are so obscure. Like if you want to play out your fantasy of like Winter Soldier versus Black Panther, you can now do that, and that's great. But that isn't the draw for me. So.
It's a good choice.
I know.
It's coming up a little later on my list, I think.
Spoiler
But
alert.
it's a very solid choice. Yeah. But yes, that's a bit. It is a bit of a cash cow, kind of like the Dominion, or like we talked about earlier, that has like 18. This one has a lot of characters you can go out and get. But yeah, it can
It's
add up.
starting to get a little overwhelming because we have so like we started off with like 3 boxes and now we have like 8.
Boxes.
2
and
full Calyx cubes.
It's just getting to be a little too much. So.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they kind of do after Marvel as well, because I do like
Once
when
they
were.
stop milking that cow.
Yeah, I think they were. I think the IP, like their rights to do the Marvel stuff, was running out here at the end of the year, so I think they were trying to get as many of those out as quickly as possible.
Oh,
I
and
think
they did.
they did. They definitely did.
That's why we have Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl. But then the last one for this set on the list is another worker placement game for me, but it is not a high-scoring one. It is actually you're racing to a certain amount of points, and now they also added an expansion to this one that allows you to play cooperatively,
Ooh.
work together to
really?
create some.
Wow.
This was originally my number 10 2 years ago, and then 24 last year.
Why don't you like this game?
Yeah, honestly.
I do like this game. No one else plays it. I've wanted to get back to the cooperative expansion more and more, and
It's because we have so many other
we
games.
do have a lot of other games. But I have been very excited to get back and playing more of Viticulture World, because I think
This is one of those legacies we have to play.
that's not really a legacy, but
No, but yeah.
it's a game with a lot of different. I guess what would you call it? I don't even know. Story. It's not really stories either. Different continents that you
Yeah.
have to play. But
Different
yeah, this one, I think I've said it before. This is probably my favorite farming simulation game. It to me it makes the most sense, especially with the Tuscany expansion. I think that's kind of necessary in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know that you have to play with like the bottom part with the stars and stuff, or the that area, but having more actions to do for over 4 seasons versus just splitting it into 2, I think makes it a lot more interesting. It's still a very solid game alone without that, but I think that definitely brings it to the next level. And yeah, you've got the grande workers bumping or being able to take spots that were already filled up. I like that part as well. And yeah, maybe this one will come back a few more spots next year if we do get back to playing some of the viticulture world. But I think this one, I think it's going to still stay on my list for quite a while, even if it slowly kind of moves back a little bit just as we play more and more games. But it's always one that I get excited playing because it's a very colorful game as well.
It is.
Um,
And they have pets now.
Trying to remember, for some reason I always think, was this our first Stormare game or no?
Yes, I believe it was.
Don't you have Wingspan first?
Got this Christmas, and then Wingspan the following.
That's right.
I think Between Two Castles was even between those two.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a great game. It's a great game. I definitely recommend checking it out. Even, it's like 10 years old. It's still a great game, which is crazy to me. But, yeah, so that's our top 40 through 31s. Like I said, leave a comment below letting us know which set of 10 here you thought was the greatest and which was the worst. It's probably mine, sadly. Depends if you like worker placement or not. If you don't like worker placement, I think it'd be mine. Yep. But otherwise, we hope to see you on our other videos. And as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.